Don't expect hours of fun from this video, it's more just to compare different cameras and settings. I did learn some new and slightly exciting things from this extended testing, but my original video, which I'll link on screen, will give a better all-round explanation. For these first few tests, I held the cameras next to each other and tried filming the same things at the same time. You can see that my older Panasonic V520 shots don't have as much detail, the results are a lot fuzzier looking. They almost give that old VHS look, plus there's definitely a purplish tinge to the shots. Whether you like this or not is up to you, but it's a lot easier to add this sort of effect in editing than it is to remove, so I'm definitely happy to be moving to a more neutral colour thing with my new thing. I will give my old camera one thing though. It was very wide angled, even slightly more so than my new one. I can only appreciate this because the even older camera that I used to have wasn't, and it made it horrible to use, especially indoors where you couldn't get enough of a person in the shot to make it worthwhile. This old camera died in the great time lapse of 2014. Yeah, I know I'm burning through cameras at an alarming rate here. Here's hoping that the new one lasts a bit longer. Honestly, even if my old camera was cheap and fuzzy and purple, it didn't stop me from doing anything I needed to. My main reason for upgrading was because since my new PC I store everything I record in 4K, and it seemed like a wasted opportunity to splice high quality gameplay clips with cheap, not even HD camera footage. On this outing I also tested my new camera's HD setting. What I discovered may shock you. The new one's not purple, is still somewhat clearer, which you can see on the tiles and the brickwork, and also a lot more zoomed in. Believe me, I didn't have it zoomed in at all for these shots. It seems that for HD, instead of capturing at 4K and saving at HD, it only captures the middle bit of the screen, making it less detailed than it could be. I'm definitely very disappointed with this. My new camera's HD mode could have been a lot more useful if it recorded the same as the 4K setting, but in HD. There are different HD modes you can use. There's AVC HD, which didn't work at all and crashed my camera if I tried using it, so I didn't test this one at all. There's also two different quality settings for the MP4 format, which I ended up using. One's 28 megabits per second, the other's 50. In the clips that I captured, there was no visible difference in quality. At all. Maybe 50 would be better in action-packed clips, but sadly my life's too boring for all that. With my 4K camera, I'll be sticking to 4K mode. You can see how 4K compares with HD here. Both shots are recorded on my new camera. But 4K mode is clearly more wide-angled and captures a lot more detail, albeit at 25 FPS instead of 50. Even if I zoom in with 4K mode to make it more directly comparable with HD, it still stores more detail and looks a bit less distorted around the edges. Maybe. And lastly, a direct comparison between my new and old cameras again. Even though this is shot with a tripod, it looks as though they're sat at different distances from the wall. This could be because my old camera is a lot shorter in length. Isn't this a fascinating video? But that being said, my old camera has still definitely got a slightly wider field of vision. Here's a close-up of a hedge, since most of my shots have been distant clips and I wanted at least some sort of variety. And I took this one just because it was pretty. Lastly, I wanted to test some indoor shots. Now these aren't particularly low light, but they represent the sort of conditions that I'll be filming a lot of my stuff in. My new camera's clips look darker, but there's a lot more detail and the grain is far finer. Low light performance was a concern of mine when buying this camera. Larger sensors perform better and camcorders often get lumped with a smaller, inferior one, and mine is no exception, but I'm still happy with the results. A lot of my YouTube videos are made with my younger self as the intended audience, like warnings on what to and not to do. Pay special attention to that gummy bear video, younger Philip. And if you're looking for a decent new camcorder on a budget, get this one. And if you have a bit more money, maybe the Sony AX53. Beyond that, you're looking at thousands of pounds, and I simply couldn't justify it. Right now, even a budget 4K camcorder like this VX870 will offer better quality footage than previous high-end HD consumer camcorders. And it should do, because it has the exact same sensor as even the £1,500 XC1000. But right now, unless you get this ludicrously expensive model, filming in 4K is limited to 30 FPS if you're in America, and 25 if you're in Europe, which sucks big time. But it doesn't look like 50 and 60 FPS is becoming the standard anytime soon. I'll be using software to simulate higher frame rates. It's not ideal, but I guess that future videos on this channel will show how successful I am in getting around this limitation.